Welcome to the Conquer Food Podcast with Craig and Paula Williams, where we share tips, tricks and strategies from the coalface of the weight loss industry in the UK. We're going to help you to think, eat and move better. Ultimately, we're going to help you finally gain control and conquer food. Hey up and welcome to another episode of the Conquer Food Podcast. I've got three amazing guests with me. Well, two amazing and one average. You'll be able to work out who's who. Guests for me today. They've got some really good stories to tell you. It's three graduates of the Conquer Food program. All got different backstories, which they may share in this episode. We're just gonna have a little general chit chat about the Conquer Food program. So how do we what's the fun way to do it? Right, let's do it this way. Right, Sam, you can introduce Izzy. Joe, you can introduce Sam. Izzy, you can introduce Joe. We happy with that? Yeah? So Sam, you give us a little bit of a rundown on Izzy.
Okay, so Izzy is a festival queen and she's obsessed with the geese and the cows that are opposite the Conquer Food house, and just generally one of the weirdest people you'd ever met, but
don't hold back,
awesome.
Sam. Don't hold back. See, I would never know that he was a festival and goose.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Fanatic. But there you go. See, Joe, what are you going to say about Sam?
Sam is an absolute nutter who absolutely adores her dog Seb. Unfortunately for her partner David, he realises that he does come second to that. And she's a manic Formula One supporter.
True story.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. All right. Izzy and Joe?
Joe is also a nutter. She can row like I've never seen anyone else row before. And you can cycle. You're on the recovery bike all day, every day. How many miles did you do the other day?
I did 100k.
100k.
Okay, so some pretty unique introductions there from you guys. What's obviously clear is that you guys have got to know each other incredibly well on this Conquer Food program, which obviously we're going to talk about there. I'll just sort of set the scene. So each person that's talking today, they've done. I know Joe, you've done sort of 10 weeks, but 12 weeks in duration, and you two have completed 12 weeks of the Conquer Food program. So let's. I mean, can you just give me a bit of a rundown about what the program has consisted of? Kind of. Somebody who's listening to this and perhaps don't know anything about this, just looked at a picture on a video or a podcast and thought, I want to lose a bit of weight or get control over food or whatever, and know nothing about the Conquer Food program. I mean, how would you describe it?
The main thing about the Conquer Food program is it's all about the mindset. So they can teach you to train, they can teach you how to do that, they can give you the food, and you will lose weight. But if they don't delve into what's going on when you're eating and how you've got to the place where you do feel like you do need the Conquer Food program, then it's just going to be continuous yo-yo, gaining weight, losing weight. So we have about 7 hours a week of mindset along various different techniques and tools, which is really helpful for maintaining the change. It changes your life basically. So that would be my 2 cents.
I mean, this thing with mindset. I mean, how many times you've been told that? And it sounds like a bit of a cliche, doesn't it? Or you need to have the right mindset and all this kind of stuff. I mean, has there been times when you kind of like it's hard, or like what you're questioning what you're doing and what you're learning? I mean, what's been sort of the ups and downs with regards to the mindset stuff, and then we'll come on to some of the things, the big things that you're going to be taking away.
Well, there's some things that I've looked at when it comes to the mindset that I've really wondered what relevance they have. But then as we've gone into it in more detail, I can see where it really does play a part. So, yes, generally you have anxiety and things like this, but one of the main things that we all learn here is the issue is never the issue. So when we get to have our one-to-ones or in group conversation, when we're having the group Conquer Food program meetings, it's an opportunity for us to actually really delve into what is behind why we're eating the way we're eating, and we're not just lazy fat people that aren't bothered to get off the sofa, that aren't willing to do anything. There are genuine reasons behind everything for all of us as to why we're in the position we're in.
Yeah. Did you agree with that, Izzy? Or?
Yeah, I'd also say you have to learn that you're always going to be the only one that can change it. You might go to the mindset sessions and think there's like a solution, but at the end of the day, you have to implement everything they're giving you. So that's the biggest thing I'd take away from mindset as well.
So today I was looking at before and afters for all of you, and obviously everybody likes before and after pictures and how they've physically changed. How would you describe your, like, mentally, your before and after? What are the changes there?
I'd say personally for me, I was very anxious, quite shy, constant low mood, would always see the negatives, and now can see the positives way more in life, and I feel like a different person, to be honest. So
yeah,
it's insane.
That's amazing. Can you see those changes in her life?
Yeah.
But what things kind of, if we sort of pick on Izzy for a second, like what kind of things do you remember when she first arrived? And
Wow. Yeah. She wouldn't say boo to a goose. Well, especially those goose.
There's a bit of a theme here, isn't there? There's a goose theme.
She was very. She wasn't. I wouldn't say she was very quiet and shy. I mean, she was very friendly and really easy to get on with as soon as she walked through the door, really. But there were a lot of things that she'd be very tentative about. If she had any kind of issue, so say, for example, she had an injury, I think I'd have to tell her about 15 times to go and tell the trainer before she would actually do it. And, now she'll be like, no, I'm hurt, I'm not doing that. And, it would come from a really good, confident place. And, she won't take anyone's BS, shall I say, which is just amazing.
So that confidence, I mean, where would you grade yourself on confidence when you arrived? And where would you grade yourself now?
When I arrived, probably like a 4. Now we're up there. We're in the probably 8, 9, yeah.
Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And Sam, what about you? How would you describe your before and after?
So my before was very hopeless. Couldn't be asked half the time. Apparently I had a horrendous resting bitch face. I rolled my eyes a lot. I just was, didn't see the point in a lot of things. Very low mood all the time. Woke up in a foul mood most mornings. And although I was outwardly quite extrovert, I think I almost did it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I was ending up creating all these issues and not knowing where that's come from. So it's really helped me to realise that actually the energy that I'm putting out is what you get back. So that's been a major shift for me. And with kind of delving into things, I'm generally a lot happier every day, and that then has changed everything else. So one of our newer arrivals, Amina, when Bianca mentioned my resting bitch face, she was like, Sam doesn't have a resting bitch face. And Bianca was like, she doesn't now. So I'm a lot more positive. I'll take a lot more time to sort of listen and actually work out, is what I'm saying going to help somebody, or is it actually something for them to deal with? I don't get as involved and stress about myself about other people as much. So I would say, again, like Izzy, completely changed over the last 12 weeks. So.
But I mean, how do you relate that to weight loss or to cleaning out your eating and all that kind of stuff? I mean, where's the connection there? People listening to this might go, well, oh great, you feel a bit happier, but what is the connection?
Yeah, so basically, food was my coping mechanism for low mood. If I woke up and I felt crap, I'd binge eat on high sugar content foods. Some people turn to alcohol and drugs. I think it's fair to say that everyone here has turned to food in a similar way. And it's a way of masking emotions, not feeling emotions, and then it becomes sort of like a shame spiral that, you know, you've felt uncomfortable with an emotion, you've eaten, and then you're all right for a couple of minutes, and then you're like, oh God, what have I just done? And then you feel shame, and then you feel crap, and then you eat more. So it is just that vicious cycle. So you need to get on top of the initial trigger, which is usually feeling uncomfortable, some sort of uncomfortable emotion that you don't want to deal with.
So it sounds like, you know, a lot of people think, right, okay, I need to lose some weight, clean out my eating, whatever it is, and they deal with that issue there. But actually, what Joe, you were saying, and Sam, what you're saying is like, if you get further down the line, there's like a root cause there. And if you work on that root cause, everything else just gets a little bit easier. Is that kind of what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. So what about Izzy Joe? I mean, what changes have you seen in Sam?
Just no moaning. At the start, you were wary of situations, and I think you'd be nervous about things. But now you're just our favourite saying. It is what it is, and you just get on with it, and it's wicked. It's really good to see.
That's good to hear. And Joe, what about you? If you could describe your before and after, mentally.
Yeah, my before for me was I was quite severely depressed, had been for many years before. I've been overweight all my life, so it was something that was always an ongoing battle for me to deal with. And I got to the point where I decided it was time to do something for myself, as like Izzy said before, nobody else was going to do it for me. So I came here, and on the first day when we all sat outside and we had our first Conquer Food session together, I sat there and said I was just merely existing, and I didn't want to wake up in the morning. And I'd got to the point where either that needed to change or I wasn't really going to be here much longer. And thankfully, over the last 10 weeks, that has changed dramatically for me with the help of the mindset, definitely the training and the food. I'm not going to lie, I've struggled a bit with the food occasionally because there are things that I really don't like. But I've tried as much as I can, and I've, enjoyed the routine of the meals and everything like that, which is something I never had before, because I would not eat for most of the day and then just binge at night, which was terrible. And it was always crap food. It was nothing any good. It cost me an absolute fortune to live like that. And being here, allowing me to do the training and get the understanding, that's the one thing the trainers do, is they accommodate your needs and they answer your questions. So for me, I've got osteoarthritis in both my knees, so there's a lot of stuff I haven't participated with. But when the trainers have found something that I have excelled at, they've let me focus on that and really push it. And that's how I've pushed forward and lost my weight. And with that sort of helped relax me on my depression side a bit. And the mindset stuff has helped me deal with a lot of things that I had buried for a long time. And this has made me feel now that, as I say, I've only done 10 weeks, but I'm in a place where I'm ready to go home and I can apply it. And I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to wake up in the morning now. I like opening my eyes, looking out and seeing what the day's going to bring.
It's amazing to hear. So come on in. We've mentioned rowing and cycling and all that already, but what big changes have you seen in Joe?
So many. The fact that like this week you've smashed like 4 goals in 1 week, which is just insane. And just like your courage, that you're so courageous and so brave and you're willing to do anything. And I just think that's just grown massively over the 3 months.
And your determination as well. I think when you first got here, although because me and Joe had met previous, so personality wise, I felt like I knew her more than maybe the other campers. So I kind of had more of an idea of who Joe was, but she still was quite reserved. And I don't know if you would agree with that.
Yeah, to begin with, yeah.
And now she'll just, she'll sit there, she'll crack jokes with the rest of them, and
no filter.
She has no filter. Somewhere around week 5 she completely lost her filter, which has led to some absolutely hilarious goings on. So and just her determination. I think maybe the first couple of weeks she'd be so nervous about every training session, and I think it would be fair to say you probably were dreading it.
Yeah.
And now she's just like, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to smash it. and she does. So, the confidence, determination, and everything has just blossomed.
So if we just talk about the training for a little bit, because obviously, I mean, how much training were you like doing before you came on the Conquer Food program? And then, like, you know, how did you? Can you explain kind of some of the stuff that you've done? How much training you've done? Because there'll obviously be people listening to this and they'll be like, "I've never done a day's training in my life," or "I might do the odd session down the gym, but I'm not really working up a sweat or doing a great deal." To then come in and do hours of pretty intense exercise sometimes. I mean, how's that been facilitated, and kind of how have you got on with it?
Well, I didn't really do much training at all before I came to...
Any?
I'd walk the dog.
Right, okay.
That's about it, really.
Yeah.
I've never done anything really in the gym. I mean, occasionally I would go to a gym and walk on a treadmill for a bit, but that's about it, really. So one of the really great things here is they've got such a wide variety of training that if you sort of wake up in the morning, you do your first session and you think, oh, that was uninspiring, I didn't really enjoy that. Then you'll be doing something completely different the next session. So you might find that you've got a new passion that you didn't even know you had. And with the 12-week program, you've got enough time with the trainers to actually really work on like specific things. So for example, weights. I mean, we need to talk to Jo about weightlifting because she's an absolute machine. So, you know, weightlifting is something that I've enjoyed and never thought I would.
And you're very good at it.
Oh, thank you. And there's...
But you, I mean, would you have tried that in the gym before?
Never, ever, ever.
You know what I mean? Have you been encouraged to do stuff that you wouldn't normally
Most
try?
definitely.
Yeah.
Before, I would never have had the courage to go into a free weights room in another gym. I've looked at it through the window, but it's too intimidating. And I thought, you know, someone like me or my build, because when I came here, I was 30 stone.
Yeah.
If I'd gone in there, most people would have just laughed me out of there and think, what the hell are you doing here? Whereas now I can go home and I'm confident that I can go into that free weights room and I know what I can lift and what I can't. And, you know, I've got a bit of knowledge on it and I'm happy and I'm more comfortable to do that. Whereas I'd never do that before. Yeah,
well, I mean, I've got to say, you know, having spent a lot of time in a gym, you guys definitely know more than the average gym goer, like, you know what I mean? I think you've definitely got a lot more experience in that case. So, yeah, that's good. Izzy, what about you? I mean, what about the training for you?
Well, before here, I was doing nothing, especially because of lockdown, literally no exercise other than the occasional walk. So I came in not really knowing what I was doing at boot camp, like training wise. Everyone
was it a shock?
It was a shock to the system.
Izzy's squat was horrific.
Yeah,
it was adorable. It was.
Still laughs about that. But it's been amazing. Like, I've learnt so many new things, and yeah, like the variety of training, that's wicked. Like, it just every time. Each week we'll have a different kind of plan, and you won't just focus on one thing, which I think is really good because then your whole body is getting a workout. But yeah, it's really good.
So what if you think about that, the entire training week, you know, obviously we run in week blocks. What were the things that you really look forward to, and what were the things that you were like, they were uninspiring, you know, like you described some of the shit training sessions before?
For me, I would always look forward to the weights. Any sort of, we did quite a lot of boxing, Muay Thai, kicking and stuff. That I love that.
Boxing has always been good.
Boxing has been brilliant. And weirdly enough, although you don't like it, well, I don't personally like it as I'm doing it, but the spin was always just, you come out and you look like you've jumped in a pool. It's really satisfying. It's one of the really satisfying ones. The lows for me, I guess, I'm not a massive one for the long walks, although I will do them. It just doesn't get my juices flowing really. You know, I'm getting there now, but I'd rather do 20 minutes in a gym than walk for 3 hours. I just get bored.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah, I think the highlight for me again was the weights. And I was quite low at the beginning. That in fact I couldn't actually participate in the walks, and everybody else would go out and do these. And then I was very grateful when they brought me down a recumbent bike, and I started off doing 4 or 5k at a time on that, and that could take me 20 minutes, half an hour. And I've built up over the 10 weeks and built up and up and up. And then, like I say, last week I managed to do 100k, and that I did that on the same day that these guys went and climbed a mountain in Wales. So, you know, for me, that was my mountain.
Yeah.
I might not be able to walk the distance they can, but I thought I'm going to make some sort of achievement for me. And that's what I did. And that, for me, is fantastic. I'm really proud of myself for doing that. And if somebody had asked me before I came here if I could do that, I would have said not a chance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fair play there, because I always say, you know, success is about doing your best when no one's looking. And if you're, you know, everyone else is climbing a mountain and you're on the bike, you know what I mean? It's You've got to motivate yourself, and that's it's great effort. 100k is a big distance, you know. So good effort on that.
I'm quite different. I quite enjoy the cardio, running, spin, walks, love those, but I would dread things like weights, and the HIIT sessions, the boot camp sessions. Some of those are pretty tough, especially the green PT ones are out in the field and it's raining and it's muddy.
And you get wet to your pants.
Yeah. It's not so fun, but you always feel good afterwards, so it's worth it.
Yeah. Okay, so what about like some of the people that you've met along the way, or some of the other activities? Like I remember, you know, we went to the farm, didn't we, and had a look at all the meat. You know, what kind of other activities, trips, or people kind of stand out from your stay?
Well, the farm one that we went to, we visited the Longhorn Farm up in Shrewsbury, and that was amazing to see the process from start to finish, pretty much, of where some decent organic meat was coming from. Because it's quite easy, you walk in somewhere and you can walk into any supermarket and you can think, oh yeah, it looks a nice piece of meat or whatever, and picking it up. But to actually go in and see not only the live animal that was actually, you know, providing this in the long term, but then the whole process of the production and everything, and getting it out onto the shelf where we could actually buy it. And that the insight they gave us into the whole method that they used was really valuable, because it really does show you that buying organic in that instance was just so much better for us. And, you know, the one thing everybody always says is, oh, I can't afford to eat organic, it's too expensive, I can't afford that. But I can vouch for myself here, and I think there's a few other people that have been on the program with us that would say the same. The amount of money that I was spending on crap food, I could eat organically for a week and still have money left every week. So, you know, for me, it's a no-brainer now when I go home that is a way to go for it. And, you know, source these places, because it's not always the big places. Even in the supermarkets, you can get organic stuff, but find the small businesses, because they really do put a lot of effort into it. And if they've got their schemes in place, find them, use them, utilize them, because they're happy to have new customers. They're happy to tell you their processes. And it's important because it's knowledge. It's knowledge that you're gaining that you can use in your diet and you can share with other people.
Yeah, but you hear often, don't you, that you are what you eat, but actually we are what we eat. You know what I mean? Like if you can have a chicken and you think, oh, you know, this is good chicken is good, but if that chicken's lived on crap and never seen sunlight, what kind of a chicken are you actually eating? Like, you know, it's not great. Okay, can I just get let's go a little bit deeper if we can. So you mentioned there about, you know, telling yourself stuff that, you know, this is all right. What things were you telling yourself before you came on the program that you now know to be bullshit? you know what I mean? Are there things that you'd kind of say to yourself? And I'm talking about food and training and that kind of stuff.
I would always justify my food. It doesn't matter what I was eating. Say, even if I'd managed to walk around the supermarket, I'd always manage to chuck in some extra bits, because I said, well, this is my treat, because look what I've achieved. Yeah. Just because I've walked around a supermarket, well, whoop-de-doo.
You've earned it.
Yeah, I know now that that's not good. All I was doing was feeding an issue. And as I say, we got to the bottom of the other issues here. But, you know, it was always somebody else's fault in my mind as well. When it came to my eating, there was always a reason that something would happen. And it would lead me to be getting a takeaway or buying some other crap food. And it would be, oh, well, because that's happened, you know, I can go and eat this.
So like a good day, bad day, someone said something not very nice, or...
Yeah, that was always somebody else's fault that led me to go and do that, and then that made it okay. I could always justify it. But I know now that that's not the point, because at the end of the day, I was the person sitting there buying it, putting it in my mouth, chewing it, and swallowing it. So I have to take responsibility for that. And that's one of the hardest things I've had to do.
Paula talks, I don't know if she's used this phrase with you, but, why would you give somebody else the steering wheel to your life, and that's that, isn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? Letting someone else control your emotions and your responses, and it's having a negative effect. There's a bit of a background noise with people kind of scratching around, having a shower and that, but stick with it. Sam, Izzy, who wants to go next? Those little fibs that you'd, or things that you just believed to be true back then and now know.
Yeah. So I had a long history of dieting and losing loads of weight and then putting it all back on, plus 4 or 5 stone.
What diets have you tried? Are you two as well? What had you tried like?
I've tried Weight Watchers. I lost about 60 pounds on Weight Watchers, but then I put on about 110, 120, something like that. So there's been lots of, slim fast for like a week. Yeah. Various like faddy weight loss attempts. And I think the main thing that I was sort of telling myself was true, but almost hoping it wasn't, was this is going to be it now. I can't change. I've tried so hard. I've tried everything. I'm going to, I keep going and I keep failing. And it was just so negative all the time. And just, again, I've meant just hopeless. Like, this is my life now. I can't do all of these things that I should be able to do, but I just have to kind of get on with it, because no matter how much I've done, no matter how much I've tried, I will always put the weight back on. So,
so you develop like self-helplessness.
Yes.
Of like where you just give up trying.
100%. Yeah. And very similar to Joe. Very much, we call it victim mentality. Very much, I'm not responsible. X, Y, and Z has happened to me, so therefore there's nothing I can do. I can't change my mood, all that kind of thing, which we've now learned is complete rubbish. So yeah, it's been very helpful from that point of view, knowing that actually you do have control of your life and how you feel. And yeah, again, don't let somebody else or some other thing affect how you're feeling, because it doesn't affect them.
And it's never too late to change either. It's like, I'm 46 years old and I've decided to come here and do this. And it's the best thing I've ever done in my life, because like Sam before that, I'd kind of written myself off, that nothing was ever going to change and this was my lot. But now it's like, it's bring it on. And I know, yes, this isn't the end of my journey. I've still got a fair way to go, but I'm happy to embrace that. And I'm looking forward to the other things that I've got ahead of me now, instead of just pretending and blaming other people why I can't do these things and eating myself into oblivion.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear. Izzy, what about you?
Well, before here, I would do things like have a glass of orange juice from Concentrate because it had one of your 5 a day label on it. Yeah. And I'd be like, oh, that's fine, I'll have that. That counts as fruit and veg. And then I'd go and have a takeaway just to, like, I guess, justify it. And it's been really interesting learning all about the nutrition side of things, of food, of packaging, labelling, ingredients. I've learned so much, and I can't wait to, use all the knowledge when I leave and actually know what I'm looking for in a supermarket now. So, yeah.
Amazing. So, thinking back to before you came, what advice would you give to yourself like 6 months ago? If you were struggling, all that, before coming on the program and all that kind of stuff, the things that you've learned now, so much in 12 weeks, but what kind of words of advice would you say? And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get, there'll be people listening to this that are exactly the same as you was back then, and you guys have all changed this belief that you can't change, you're doomed, you're like this forever. I had that at one stage, I was always like a certain weight, and I remember I had to go for a medical, and I got on the scales, and the guy was like, oh, you're this weight, and I was like, no, your scales must be wrong, because I'm always whatever weight it is, And he was like, no, scales are right. And it shook my universe. I was like, bloody hell, I've managed it. I've managed to lose some weight. So I kind of get that a little bit. So what would you say to them?
Obviously, if they're coming into boot camp, if they're not coming into boot camp, first I would say come to boot camp, because it really does change your life. Or at the very least, look into some of these things like NLP, and learn about how your brain works. And if and when you are coming to boot camp, the number one thing I would say is you have to be open. You have to be able to just take on board everything they're teaching you, and also look inside and actually recognize, am I doing these behaviors? Are they serving me? And if they're not, just get rid of them. Don't be afraid to actually find things about yourself that you don't really like, because I know I did. And that means that instead of sort of fighting it all the time and feeling inadequate and whatever and feeling like an awful person, you work out what it is and you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Amazing. Joe?
I think for me, it would be to love myself, because that's one thing I've always struggled with. I've always felt like I'm invisible, that I wasn't important. I wasn't valid even. And I would always bend over backwards to do everything for everybody else, but I would never prioritise myself. Whereas taking the time to look into this and come here and do the programme, it's enabled me to see that I am an important person for me, and if not nobody else, and I do matter. And I've got to do these things to help me, because nobody else is going to do them for me. And it's worth it in the long run. It really is. And, one of the things that we go on about here is how can you love anybody else before you really, truly love yourself? And that's one of the things that it's taken me time to get there, but I have got there to that point now where I'm happy and I'm more confident about saying, yes, I do love myself. And I'm a bit more choosy about saying to people, well, actually, no, you know what, I can help you, but I can't do it at the moment because I'm doing something for me.
Yeah.
Because, we are important, and we're not these invisible people that a lot of people would either call us or actually just prefer us to be. We do exist and we do matter. Amazing.
Liz?
I would say just take a chance, because there's no point continuing with the way things were for me like 6 months ago. Like you're just existing, you're not really living your life to its fullest. Whereas here, you learn to love yourself. You learn all the tools you need to live life to the fullest. And I just think it's so worth it. You've got a long stretch of time where you can just fully commit to working on yourself and not have any other distractions from the outside world. So it's the best thing to do.
Amazing. Right, I'm going to finish with a little bit of a game. It's just the old word association thing. So I give you a word, and then the first thing that comes to your mind. All right.
Okay.
So and we can go around the table or whatever. Okay, you happy with that?
Yeah. That's fine.
All right. So here we go. Weigh in.
Food.
Sam.
Friday.
Friday. Yeah.
Results.
Ash.
Muay Thai.
Mentalist.
Crocs.
Yeah, it's been converted to Crocs. That's been your main trainer really whilst you've been here.
Yeah.
Paula.
Lovely.
Caring.
In it for the long haul and definitely loving.
Amazing. What else we do? Let's say paleo brownies.
Amazing.
I lost you, Sam, did I?
Yeah, I've gone. I can't top amazing. Yeah.
Sexual.
Yeah, they are.
Start with that. No filter again, will it? Okay. Listen, it's been great chatting to you all. It really has. And really humbling to hear how some of you guys have changed, and how you're looking forward to life now as opposed to just existing before. So that's incredible. Anyone got any final words of wisdom or a quote that they want to share before we wrap up?
I don't know. There's got to be, remember, the issue is never the issue, and it's about them, not you.
And take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself.
Take a risk, do it.
You're worth it.
Amazing. Thank you very much.